We have a super huge update this week that contains nerfs and buffs to heroes you wouldn't have expected. Hi guys, Kazuki here and welcome to the patch note 1.6.98. So let us get the madness started. First of all, we have the new hero Fredrinn, the new amazing fighter tank hybrid is a beast to be against. He has slows, no-cup, stones, heals and considerable damage. He is a combination of pure menace on the battlefield. Try to maintain gaps and never initiate a 1 vs 1 against him. He will troll you to death with his crowd controls, healing and damage. Moving on the hero changes, we have some experimental changes for Badang. His skill 1 has brand new effect. It will now store 2 charges. The charges restore once every 12 to 7 seconds depending on how high the skill level is. The cooldown between 2 consecutive skill 1 casts is now 2 seconds. The initial damage has been increased by 5 in the early game and 30 in the late game. The physical attack bonus is also increased by 30%. The subsequent attack damage is adjusted. The base damage is reduced by 40 in the early game and 65 in the late game. However, the physical attack bonus is increased by 10%. His skill 2 is buffed as well. The cooldown is reduced by 2.5 seconds at all levels. However, the 40% cooldown refund when no enemy was hit is removed. It now has a new effect. Casting this skill will grant Badang a shield equal to 400 to 800 plus 120% physical attack. His ultimate is taking the backlash from others' buff. It's nerfed, it no longer grants a shield when cast. It however will grant Badang control immunity throughout the duration of the skill. The initial damage is decreased by 10 at all levels, physical attack bonus is increased by 4%, collision damage is reduced by 2 in the early game and 20 in the late game. The physical attack bonus also decreased by 3%. And yeah, one thing that I forgot to mention, that we are actually giving away 20 epic skins on 950k subscribers, and to join you just need to like and share the video and subscribe to our channel. And there are just 20,000 people more to join, so if you haven't already, do get along by subscribing to us. Vexana is getting a buff. Her Undead Knight basic attack now deals an extra 3 to 5% of target maximum HP as damage. The Undead Knight's movement and attack speed are also increased. An issue has been fixed where the Undead Knight wasn't benefiting from Genius Wand passive stacks. Terizla is getting nerfed, his skill 2 is nerfed. The cooldown is now 8 to 9 seconds instead of being fixed at 5 seconds. The first 2 attack damage is reduced by 20 points and 25% physical attack at all levels. The jump distance is slightly reduced. Julian is getting a nerf. His enhanced skill 1 damage is reduced by 20 in the late game and unchanged in early game. His enhanced skill 3 damage is reduced by 50 at all levels. Xavier is also getting a nerf. His skill 1 is buffed. The force seeing and bullet flying speed are increased to allow a smoother cast of skill 1 and 2 combo. His skill 2 is nerfed. Immobilization duration is reduced by 0.3 seconds. Ultimate is also nerfed. Base damage is reduced by 50 at all levels. The magic power is also reduced by 12%. To everyone's surprise, Natalia is getting a buff. Her skill 1 damage is reduced by 25 at all levels. Her skill 2 is getting the big buff. Now the characters inside the smoke will always take extra damage from Natalia's passive. Her ultimate is getting massively buffed. Natalia can now store 2 ultimate skill charges. A new effect is also added. Upon kills, the charge is reduced by 100%, so after every kill you can use your ultimate again. It is reduced by 20% when you kill creeps. This promotes Jungle Natalia a lot. Melissa is getting buffed as well. Her skill 1 cooldown is reduced by 1 second in the late game. Her skill 2 cooldown is reduced by 1 second at all levels. Atlas is getting nerfed. His passive defense is reduced by 5 in the early game and 15 in the late game. His skill 1 base damage is also reduced by 15 in the early game and 40 in the late game. Johnson is getting nerfed too. His ultimate is getting nerfed. Base damage is reduced by 100 in the late game, unchanged early game. Base sustain damage is reduced by 20 in the late game. Nathan is getting a buff. Skill 1 damage is increased by 25 in the early game. Edith is also getting a buff. Skill 1 cooldown is decreased by 2 seconds at all levels. Martis is getting a buff as well. His skill 2 is buffed and the first 3 attacks physical attack bonus is increased by 20%. Alucard is getting another buff. His skill 2 base damage is increased by 10 at all levels. Harith is getting buff as well. The shield amount from his skill 2 is increased by 35 in the early game and 10 in the late game. And lastly, Benedetta. Benedetta is getting buffed. Skill 1 slash bonus damage is increased by 5%. The physical attack bonus is also increased by 5%. Moving on to the battlefield changes. Now it's actually very easy to grab the last hit on minions during the early game laning phase. You don't have to be pro anymore. The game will help you secure the last hits. So that will be all for this update. It is a big one indeed. Which one is your favorite change? Let us know down below in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching. Keep supporting Kazuki Official.